mean, I'm just so excited. We're 40 minutes from a national championship.
It's going to be loud, I'm going to tell you. Loud and cheering and positive.
Good morning, Gonzaga fans. Your day is here. The Zags are just 40 minutes away from possibly bringing the national championship back to Spokane. Good morning, everyone. I'm Brittany Bailey. This is Brianna Berman-Solo joining me now. Jen's a little under the weather this morning.
She's a little under the weather, but she'll be back hopefully this afternoon, back on her feet for our special edition of the pregame special, but also right now, special edition of KREM 2 Morning News to get you ready for the biggest sporting event in history. All this morning, we'll show you how the team and fans are getting pumped up, both in Spokane and in the city of Phoenix.
Well, of course, it's been an incredible run for the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and they're not done yet. For 3 weeks, the Zags have proven themselves time after time. The city of Spokane has supported the home team every game, bringing a buzz to the Lilac City. And tonight, the Zags will play the biggest game of their lives. All this morning, we're getting you ready for the game with special live reports from Phoenix and from Spokane. Tom Sherry and Jay McCarthy are live this morning for us in Phoenix. Meanwhile, Robb Harris is live from Gonzaga with more on what is sure to be an energetic Monday on campus.
Take a look at social media this morning. Fans all over the world are fired up for the national championship tonight. North Carolina, Gonzaga, facing off in what sports fans are calling a true David versus Goliath matchup. And I've heard, no. Spokane fans say it's Goliath versus Goliath. They have been the team that they know could carry it all the way. This is just the year to do it.
Fingers crossed. Spokane has been buzzing with the excitement ahead of the big game, but the mood in Phoenix is just as exciting. Thousands of Zag fans are in the Valley of Sun to be a part of history.
KREM 2's Jane McCarthy and Tom Sherry are live this morning in Phoenix with more on this historic day for the Inland Northwest. Good morning, you two.
Alexis, thanks so much. 5:33 now, and today is May Day. Thousands of people across the globe will march for workers' rights, and some of those marchers will make their way through Seattle.
Law enforcement is concerned the marches could turn violent. Jake Wittenberg with our Seattle sister station has more on how officers are getting ready.
Well, as of this morning, there are only 2 legally protested and permitted marches allowed to take to the streets in Seattle.
Jake, thank you. Meanwhile, Portland could also see its own protest today. In the past, protesters have damaged parts of the city.
This year, there will be a couple of different marches planned around the area. One march is being organized by the Portland May Day Coalition. That march will start at noon and go through the downtown area. The other May Day event is being organized by the Anarchist Student Union. That march will go until 11 p.m. Portland police say they hope people keep things civil, but if not, they will make arrests like they've done in the past. They'll also have their riot gear on hand just in case.
You know, we don't like to bring that out unless we have to. And sometimes it's to let people know that are in the crowd that are intent on doing things like violence or damage. It's to let them know that we're there and we're not going to stand for that.
Portland police say last year's marches went off without a hitch, with almost no problems reported. This morning, marches are already underway around the world. In Taiwan, union workers marched to protest poor labor conditions. Indonesian workers took to the streets of Jakarta. And in the Philippines, workers and union members are marching in the streets of the capital, Manila. There, May Day is known as Labor Day.
For more on the May Day rallies happening around the Pacific Northwest, you can head to our KREM 2 website, krem.com. You can also head to the KREM 2 Facebook and Twitter pages. Thank you. Now, when a train derailed in North Idaho this week, many of you at home were concerned it could have been an oil train, and it turned out the train was carrying corn and nothing toxic.
But it still reignites an already hot topic here in our area. What if it had been an oil train spill? First responders are meeting in Spokane today to tackle that very issue. And KREM 2's Robb Harris joins us now live with a preview. Good morning, Robb.
Good morning. Yeah, there are first responders from across the state actually in Spokane this week. They meet every year.
It's a problem at airports across the country, including Spokane.
2 on your side discovered the number of weapons confiscated by airport security has spiked in recent years. Last year, the number of guns seized by TSA agents at the Spokane International Airport was the highest ever. In fact, the numbers have quadrupled since 2012. And it's not just a problem here. Last year across the country, TSA agents seized 3,400 guns. We learned many of those cases happened at small airports such as Spokane. TSA says travelers in rural areas are more unaccustomed to flying.
I know people have the mentality it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Travelers must carry guns in a secure box and then tell the airline agent. Otherwise, they could be arrested and face a $7,000 fine. Developing this morning, 2 Chicago police officers are in stable condition after being shot, and the chief says they were targeted.
Officials say those officers were dressed in plain clothes and working in a tactical unit. That's when 2 vehicles drove by and someone opened fire. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson says the officers were not caught in crossfire. He says they were targeted by the shooters. One officer was hit in the back. The other officer was hit in the arm and hip. Police have recovered weapons and a vehicle they believe are connected to that shooting, and they are questioning persons of interest.
This morning, the family of a Texas teenager killed by a police officer is calling for criminal charges.
Authorities say it all started when officers arrived at a chaotic house party Saturday night. They were investigating an underage drinking complaint. Officials say 15-year-old Jordan Edwards was leaving the party with friends. Officer Roy Oliver is accused of confronting the vehicle Jordan was in as it was leaving. Investigators say Officer Oliver fired into the passenger side window, shooting Jordan in the head and killing him. Jordan was not armed.
We are declaring war on bad policing. This has happened far too often.
Jordan Edwards' family asked the public not to march or protest in his name as they prepare for his funeral. Officer Oliver was fired from his position, and so far he has not appealed that termination.
This morning, the Department of Justice is expected to close an investigation into the police shooting death of Alton Sterling with no charges.
Sterling was shot to death last year. Cell phone video showed 2 white officers pinning him to the pavement outside a Louisiana convenience store where he had been selling CDs. Now, news of the DOJ's decision spread throughout Baton Rouge. Protesters gathered outside the police station last night. Witnesses say 2 people were led away in handcuffs. Now, his aunt, Sonda Sterling, says she is disappointed by those reports.
It's like going back to the first day. It's like going back to the first day all over again.
A spokesman for the Louisiana governor says his office has not been notified of any federal decision in that investigation. 5:07 now. President Trump will host the Palestinian president today at the White House.
And House lawmakers will debate and vote on the $1.1 trillion government funding bill. That bill is expected to pass with bipartisan support and then head to the Senate. Meanwhile, the FBI director will head to Capitol Hill to testify in front of the Senate Committee on FBI Oversight. He could face questions about Russia's meddling in the 2016 election.
We are also hearing from Hillary Clinton about the election. In an interview yesterday, she says Russia, the FBI, and misogyny all played a role in her defeat. Though Clinton says she blames no one but herself, she says it's also clear the outcome was influenced by factors beyond her control.
The election been on October 27th, I'd be your president. And it wasn't. It was on October 28th, and there was just a lot of funny business going on around.
Clinton admitted to making several critical mistakes during the campaign. She also says she believes prejudice against women is still a part of life, even in the U.S. 5:12 now on our Thursday morning. We are tracking breaking news this morning out of the Houston area. Fire crews are putting out a massive fire at a barbecue restaurant. It's called Charlie's Barbecue. No injuries reported right now. The cause is still undetermined. But you can see it's a massive fire, though it looks like with white smoke, it looks like firefighters may be getting the upper hand on that. Zooming in, getting a closer look, you can see, wow, a lot of damage this morning. Firefighters attacking that fire from the outside of the building, and that's something we will be tracking throughout the morning. Social media is buzzing this morning after talk show host Jimmy Kimmel opened up about his newborn son's open heart surgery.
Kimmel made an emotional plea to lawmakers to support the Affordable Care Act.
I saw a lot of families there, and no parent should ever have to decide if they can afford to save their child's life. It just shouldn't happen. Not here. So, anyway, thank you for listening. I promise I'm not going to cry for the rest of the show. Please say a prayer for...
Now, Kimmel's son Billy was born with a heart defect last week and had surgery at just 3 days old. He is doing okay though and recovering at home. I watched a little bit of this, and he showed a picture of his son Billy in the hospital and covered with tubes, but then showed him from yesterday looking just fine. Brianna, thanks so much. Okay, take a look at what's behind us here. Yes, that's a man in a gorilla suit. Get this, he crawled his way to the finish line at the London Marathon.
So this is an English police officer here. Now, he started his race almost a week ahead of time. Officer Tom Harrison goes by the name Mr. Gorilla. He is not doing this for fun. He actually raised around $33,000 for gorilla organizations around the world. It's a group dedicated to conserving gorillas in countries around the world.
Well, Harrison started the 26.2-mile route last Sunday and crossed the finish line on Saturday. Mr. Gorilla slept at friends' houses in the evenings after crawling for about 10 to 12 hours, going about 4.5 miles per day. Now, he did swap between crawling on his hands and knees to walking on his hands and feet to save his blistered knees. When he did cross the finish line, he of course celebrated by beating his chest.
Naturally.
How else would you do it?
Naturally, of course. Well, are you a fidgeter?
I'm not, but I know plenty of people who are.
Yeah, toe tapping or, you know, what, tapping your pen on your desk or something maybe. Well, this latest fad may be right up some of your alleys at home.
Yeah, take a look at this. It's called a fidget spinner. It's designed for people who, well, fidget. Prices for those spinners can range from $2 to upwards of $20 on Amazon. Those spinners are now becoming distractions in some classrooms, though, because of their popularity. The prices do vary according to the design. They could take weeks to ship also, depending upon which one you choose. And I nanny some children in the afternoon. They're obsessed with these right now. I know an adult who has a little cube thing that you push and press and flick.
I get it. If you have some extra energy you need to, you know, get out of your system, I can understand that. But I can also see teachers are probably like, okay,
right,
get these off your desk.
Yeah, seriously, hide them. I'm going to confiscate them. This morning, Washington native Isaiah Thomas is coming off one of the biggest performances of his career. He made 53 points to lead the Boston Celtics to a big playoff victory.
His performance came on the birthday of his late sister. Now, over the weekend, Thomas was back in his hometown of Tacoma for her funeral. China Thomas died last month after a car crash. And after last night's game, Thomas says it was his sister's birthday and the least he could do is go out there and play for her.
And this morning, social media is buzzing about Isaiah Thomas. Some of our Washington athletes, including Nigel Williams-Goss and Richard Sherman, tweeted about the epic performance. University of Washington basketball tweeted out that Isaiah Thomas, your strength is amazing. And I'm sure it has to have been tough to play, you know, these games since his sister has died, because he's come out and has been comforted by his teammates. We saw that touching moment, and then last night to have a great game. I mean, props to him.
Yeah, such grief, but maybe turning it into something that he's focusing and moving forward and trying to remember her in a great memory.
Yeah, nice way to honor his sister, doing what he can. Well, we have seen some great hair, even an epic beard on the Gonzaga basketball court over the years. And making that list is former walk-on Rem Bakamus.
Yesterday, he cut off his hair for a good cause, and our Darnay trip was there to capture the moment.
Rem, what made you decide to part with the flow?
You know, my plan all along.
After cutting off a couple of those ponytails, his new do was based off tennis great Roger Federer on a GQ magazine cover he saw at the barbershop. There's the magazine right there.
Yeah, so we posted this story on our Facebook page and asked what you think of Rem's new look. People seem to be loving it. Cindy says, well done, young man. What a selfless thing to do. Sue adds, we watched you get your hair cut on TV, thought it was a great thing you did to donate your hair. As a cancer survivor, I understand the need for wigs. I like the new look. Way to go. Well, if you want to join that conversation, you can just head over to our Creme 2 Facebook page. And we have been talking about how we want to see the finished product.
There it is.
Nice.
Oh, he looks
that
so
looks good.
handsome.
I'm a fan of that haircut.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
And it's just that he donated his hair to a good cause makes him that much more cute.
Exactly. He does look a little younger, I think.
He
with
does,
that.
yeah.
Well, it is 6